Hi everyone, welcome back to Fimo Tutorials. I had a few people asking about a helix pattern, and I absolutely love the idea because it's such a strong and important and also popular image because of the DNA, of course. But it's also a really nice ornament, makes a really nice ornament that you can use for many things, like a border, for instance, like here. And so like in the last video, I'm gonna show you several options. We want to make different versions, the DNA of course, and then this one too. And it is a very simple pattern, visually at least, but for that I thought it was surprisingly difficult to make. And also I couldn't figure out any trick to make it easier. So instead I want to explain a bit the geometry behind this pattern so you can easily construct it yourself. And we're going to start with these four little blends, and it's going to be the simple pattern that is just two intertwined strings, a red and a blue one. So we have red and blue, and I'm blending each color with a highlight and a shadow version of that color. So it's basically just this blue with a lot of white, and here's this blue with a little bit of black, and the same here. And each blend is 6 by 10 centimeters on a thickest level of my machine, a level 0. And this curve and this curve is the same, so I was cutting these two parts from the same sheet. Now I will turn these two lighter blends into a bullseye cane with the light color on the inside, and these two darker blends I'll make them into a stub, and I want to show you quickly how I do that with the red. So the stub is basically I'm just rolling it up in this direction, and then I'm compressing it in that direction like this. And make it really flat. Keep on rolling to keep it round and make it more and more flat, and at some point I make it into a rectangular shape and compress it even more. Kind of like that. And this one I'll make into a bullseye cane, and for that I will fold it into half. You can also fold these corners around, or you can just trim them off. And then I will stretch it in my machine on a thin level to get a very long strip. In this strip I will roll it up from the light end. Now here what I do on a bullseye cane is usually I add some more of that pure darkest color, especially if you still see a difference in color between here and here. You might want to add some more until you get here, or maybe another round, so we have one color on the outside. Now this bullseye cane I will make it a bit shorter, maybe 4 or 5 centimeters, and then I'll make it flat. Okay, so it's maybe a 1 centimeter now thickness, and I will make this one to the same thickness like that, and twice the length. And then I will trim my edges here and cut it in half and fit each half on either side of this flat bullseye cane to make one block. So I made the same with the blue blocks. It makes one block. Make sure to close these gaps and seams here as good as possible. And we have the highlight in the middle, in the center, and the shadow on both sides. And both blocks are the same size. We actually want it to be the same thickness. This is important, but if it's the same size, it's automatically also the same thickness because we have the same volume here. And we have a length of maybe 9 centimeters. And from this, we want to trim this, and we want to trim it to the height of our cane, the height in which we construct our cane. And here it's, this is a decision. If you make your cane, if you construct it if it's higher when you construct it, it's going to be easier to reduce. But if it's more flat, it's going to be easier to build and to make straight cuts and everything. So you want to find like a middle, and for me 3 centimeters usually works as a height for our cane. 3 to 4 centimeters. So this is extra, and I'll do the same with this one. Okay, so we have these 2 blocks now that are the same, and we want to process them the same way. I will start with this blue one here, and first of all I will mark the middle because we're gonna need that for later. And then I want to bend this into an S, and it's helpful to use your roller for that. And yeah, like that. And it is an S, but more precisely it's a sine curve or a sine wave. And sine wave has an axis, and I think it's helpful to visualize this axis to get your shape right. And you can choose one of the lines here in case you have something like that, or you could also just draw a line on a paper, and this is our axis now. And we want this shape to cross the axis in the middle, and then we're bending these ends back onto the axis down, and like this we get a very regular shape where this curve and this curve should be the same, which means also the distance from the axis here and here should be the same. It's called the amplitude, and the distance from the crossing points should also be the same. So this is a very regular shape, and it's symmetrical. If we turn it around 180 degrees, it should look exactly the same as before. And I did the same with the other block, with the red one, and I was bending it the same way, and it should really have the same curve and the same angle and everything the same. And then we're going to put these 2 pieces together like that with an offset. And here again, make sure to position this correctly on your axis. Here the middle is crossing. Like that. And now maybe we can already trim this end parallel to that side, and here too make a straight cut so it will fit nicely. I'll use my blade for that. Cut here and here too. And always keep it in the correct position here. Yeah, that looks really cool. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to tessellate it here, cut through the middle here, and then take this side over here. And so we're going to have two cores here and here that are both the same. And actually, maybe we could even mark this here on our paper. So I draw a line here, and then I position this correctly, and I draw a line here. So this is going to be my core, and we need two of them. So I prepared these two blocks from the background color. I'm using pure white here in this case. And both blocks are 3 centimeters high, like our cane. And I was trying to cut like a nice straight and regular block with straight edges and right angle corners, because I think it's easier to cut a straight shape from a straight block, you know, rather than trying to cut it from an irregular lump of clay. It's nice when it's already straight when you start. So it's 3 centimeters high, and this is the shape that we want to cut. I corrected it a little bit because, you know, it's symmetrical around that axis. So maybe I will just mark that axis here on the middle, and then I'm trying to transfer the width of our shape like that, and also the thickness like that, and then draw this shape here, more or less. This is how the core that we want to cut from this block. And I will start by making a few straight cuts here and here and here and here, and then of course I'll cut away this, and then these remaining edges I can smooth them out with my finger. And here, to make a straight cut, I'll again mark the sides down. Okay, so I was squishing it a little bit and stretching it a little bit so it gets a bit smaller, and making these sides smooth and these sides smooth, and keeping that lenticular shape and keeping these edges sharp. And it got a bit longer, so I will trim off one end, make it straight here. And now we can see if it fits into our thing here. And here it's good to go into the details a little bit, because we want, here's our middle, and but then, you know, this is gonna touch in the middle, so we need to take into account the thickness of that thing. So basically we want our core to reach from here to here. And now if we double check that, yes, perfect, it fits inside. And maybe, I mean, before we fit it, I already fit it inside now, but maybe it would be good to keep that separate first, and make the second one to exactly the same size and shape. And this is really a little bit the crucial part of this whole process. We want two cores that are exactly the same. Okay, so I made the second core, and I double check that it's straight. You know, it looks the same has the same shape on both ends, and has a constant thickness, and you can check if they fit together. I mean, obviously you could also make one bigger cane and then cut it in half, and you will get two equal parts. But it's the same thing I was saying before. You know, if the cane is longer, it will be very difficult to make a straight cut. So I prefer to make these from two separate blocks, and take your time to make them nice and neat, and double check on both sides if the size is correct, and then we can fit them inside. And here we had already marked the line where we wanted to arrive, here like that and like this, and then this is easy. And here basically we want this was the middle of the whole block that we marked in the beginning, and we want the middle in the middle of this block, and here's the same, the middle here. And check from the back. Yeah, that looks good. And here it's good to position it again on this axis, so you can double check that everything is straight and regular. So when this is in place, we can position our next core, and here, you know, it's gonna go from here to here. Let's see if this fits. Yep, pretty good, like that. And then yeah, let's trim off this edge here. That makes one line with our core. And here we make our tessellation cut, and it should be in a right angle to our axis. And I was cutting along the blue edge here. And then this should fit here, and we gotta trim some of this. We gotta trim it off because this is too long now, because of that distance here. And I was compressing a bit more to close all the gaps. And at this point, before we pack it, we want to check again the shape, and we want to visualize again the axis. So it's going to be here, and then it's going to be here, and it comes out in the middle of that face, and the same here. So this is our axis, and I'll mark the same on the back here, and now we can see it's a little bit bended on the back. You know, we want to make that a straight line, and maybe also position it again on our imaginary axis, and then I'll flip it over like that. Yeah, and here we can also check. I prepared these blocks for the packing, and you know, they got to be this line here needs to be parallel to our axis, and here the same, like that. And then I can mark here and here and here again. These should be the same distance, and I will mark these down like that, and I will use a cookie cutter to cut a round shape here, and I'm taking one that's a bit bigger than here, and I'm making it a bit flat because this is also a bit flat. And then I will cut slowly on these lines, and then we can check from the top. If these lines are parallel, it means our cut was straight. And let's see if this is gonna fit here. Yeah, pretty much. Maybe I'll make this one a bit deeper. And before I attach it here, I'll do the other side. I'll take this over here. I do this the other side so we can have pressure from both sides, even pressure, and our pattern will get less distorted. Okay, and now we're compressing it from the inside, and you're gonna lose your edge here, but this is not a problem. We want it compressed from the inside. We can squish it a little bit and also correct the shape. And when it's one compact block, I will start by cutting these sides here. Don't be afraid to cut away some of that red. That's not a problem. Now we can make our cane rectangular again and make a straight cut here and here. And here it's important that we want the pattern in the center, which means our cut needs to be parallel to these both ends here. Let's make it here, like that, and same here, like that. And since these edges are straight already, I can mark down the sides and parallel to this red. You can check on the back if it's still the same distance here, like here, more or less. Now, if our cane is rectangular and the pattern sits in the middle, we can add some more layers of the background color on both sides to have a bit more clay there, so the pattern won't get distorted when reducing. And this is our finished cane, and I have made another one, a second one that I reduced already, and I was tiling a few slices together and it looks like that. And what I like about this cane is the fact that you can morph it. For instance, here I was compressing it in this direction, so my cane looks like that, and it creates a totally different look. And you can also do that the other way around, of course, compress it like that, and it's gonna look like this. So three completely different patterns that come from the same cane. And also this border that I was showing you in the beginning, I was compressing a cane like this into a triangle, and then when you take two of these slices together, you get a 90-degree corner. And another thing that I wanted to show you here is that very rarely this red line is exactly in the middle of our cane, which means when we align this red edge here, you're going to have an offset on the edge of your slice, which is of course not a problem because we can just cut that away. And that's our first cane, and I quickly want to show you this other version that looks like a DNA. Now here we're going to work with solid colors, which makes it a bit easier, and I was choosing strong, pure and distinct colors to achieve this look of a scientific graphic. So the strings are going to be orange and yellow, and for the background I'm choosing a dark color this time, this dark blue. We're going to need more than what you see here, but this is good for a start. And both of these blocks for our strings, they're both 3 centimeters high, which is the height of our cane, and they are 7 centimeters wide both, and they are a double layer of the thickest setting of my machine at level 0. And we will start by making these edges flat. So they got a bit longer, obviously, and make sure that you arrive at the same length for both. And then we're gonna start the bending like before. And like before, I will use again a sheet of paper where I draw a line to have this axis visualized, and also to mark the size of my core. That's gonna look like this. And our core this time, it's not just a solid background color, but it has these stripes or bars. And I was just making a stack, and actually I was making 2 stacks. One with orange and one with yellow. And I combined it in both cases with the background color. And here I was making the background color a bit wider than the yellow layers, but this is totally up to you. You could also do that differently. And I will start by cutting both of these blocks in halves. And then taking them together like this, and I will put a bit of that background color in between, a thin layer. And again, this is an aesthetic decision, you don't need to do that, but I think it looks good. And now I was cutting this shape of our core. I was cutting it from that paper, so I can put it on top here. And we want the axis I mean, we want these stripes, the bars, they're perpendicular to the axis. And actually, this is almost a bit short. Make it a bit wider. Yeah. And actually, I'll tilt it a little bit. The axis is a bit tilted. And I'll show you why in a bit. So let's cut these first. And here's our two cores, and also again these two strings that I positioned again on our imaginary axis. I was using this line now. And what I'll do is I will already now make the tessellation cut straight down. And then this yellow edge, it's coming right on that very thin corner here. Like that. And now I can show you the, our axis, it's not here, but it's here in the middle of that face. Yeah, and also it's not here, but it's here. And same goes here. When we put that thing there, again we need to shorten this like before to account for that distance here. Yep. Yeah, this is correct. And now, yep, now this fits inside here. And this goes here, and now we have that blue line running along our axis. I mean, this is really, it's a detail, and it's only relevant if you work really precisely. But I just want to have it said. And also what I do is here No, it's correct. Yep. So the yellow here, I have the yellow touching here and the yellow touching here, and the orange touching. It could also be the other way around. It could also have the orange bars here on that yellow side. This is an aesthetic decision, really. So that looks pretty good already, and now it's just for the packing. And it's the same as before, so I'm not gonna show it anymore. And this is our finished DNA. I mean, of course it's not finished, it still needs to be packed. And once it's packed and reduced and sliced up, it's gonna look like this in a veneer. And also I wanted to show you this version that is practically the same, but I was using more colors, different colors, and also I was making the bars thinner, so it's more bars. And this is all aesthetic decisions. There's a million ways to visualize a DNA, and if you do a quick Google search, you will find many versions. And also this pinched end here, it's an aesthetic decision. You don't need to do that, but I think it makes the whole thing look more dynamic. So obviously you could also do that same thing for this version that we did in the beginning. The only thing you gotta remember is that when you do that, the axis is not here anymore on this meeting point, but it's moving to here, like I was showing you before. And there's a last version I want to show you, is this one, where I was also using a gradient, but it was this block here from our last tutorial, the cane. I will put a link in the descriptions, where we made a block with a gradient and an off-center highlight, and I was using that for the strings and also for the bars, and it creates this 3D look. So there's really a lot of options to play around with, and I hope you got inspired, and thanks for watching. See you soon.